So Kisa Gautami now went from house to house, and the people pitied her and said, "Here is mustard seed, take it." So, after meeting the Buddha, Kisa Gautami started going from house to house asking for the mustard seed. And people pitied her. They felt sorry for her. And they said, "Here is mustard seed, take it." So all of them were ready to give mustard seed, a handful of mustard seed to Kisa Gautami. But when she asked, "Did a son or daughter, a father or mother die in your family?" They answered her, "Alas, the living are few, but the dead are many. Do not remind us of our deepest grief." So they were ready to give the mustard seed. But when Gautami asked this question, "Did anyone die in this family?" Because she is not supposed to get mustard seed from a family that someone has died. So when she asked this question, "Has anybody died in this family?" they would answer her, "Alas, the living are few, but the dead are many." People living are only a few in number. Many people have died and gone from this world. Do not remind us of our deepest grief. Kindly do not remind us of our deepest grief. In our hearts, we grieve for our dear one. Maybe it's a son, or maybe it's a daughter, maybe it's a father or mother, but there is grief in our hearts. Oh, please do not remind us of our beloved ones, of those deepest grief we have in our hearts. And there was no house, but some beloved one had died in it. And there was no house. In every house, someone had died. Kisa Gautami became weary and hopeless. So, what happened to Kisa Gautami? She went from house to house. She became very weary. Weary means tired and hopeless. She lost her hope and sat down at the wayside, watching the lights of the city as they flickered up and were extinguished again. So she sat at the roadside. She watched the lights of the city as they flickered up. So when evening came, the lights flickered up in the houses. Flicker means shine unsteadily, twinkle. And when it became night again, all these lights were extinguished, were stopped. At last, the darkness of the night reigned everywhere. So, it fell night and it was very dark. It was all dark around. And Kisa Gautami sat there, tired and lonely and hopeless. And she considered the fate of men. She started thinking about life, the fate of human beings, that their lives flicker up and are extinguished again, like the light that flicker up in the evening and get extinguished in the night, are the lives of human beings. Their life flicker up when they are born and get extinguished when they die. So that is the fate of men. And she thought to herself, "How selfish am I in my grief? Death is common to all." She thought, "Oh, I have been very selfish in my grief." Why does she think like that? Yeah, she was till now thinking about herself, only about her grief, only about her loss. When she looked around, Buddha opened her eyes. When she looked around, when she listened to others, she understood that many of them, or most of them, most of the people are going through this kind of pain. But she was very selfish. She was always thinking about her sorrow, about losing her son. She was very selfish. Death is common to all. She understands that death is a common factor. It happens to everyone. Yet in this valley of desolation, there is a path that leads him to immortality, who has surrendered all selfishness. But in this valley of desolation, this earth is a valley of desolation. It is a valley of pain. It is a valley of depression, desperation. And from this valley, there is a path that leads human beings to immortality. What do you mean by immortality? Mortal means subjected to death. Men are mortal. Men are subjected to death. But immortality means living for ever and ever. So, from this valley of desolation, from this earth, there is a path that leads him to immortality, to the heaven where there is no death. And that path and that path is death. Death takes human beings to heaven where there is no selfishness, where everything is peaceful. There is no desolation. So Kisa Godami understands that death is common to all. She understands that she had been selfish in her grief. So Kisa Gautami realized her fault after meeting the Buddha. In this paragraph, we will learn the sermon of Buddha. What did Buddha say about death and grief? The Buddha said, the life of mortals in this world is troubled and brief and combined with pain. So, the life of mortals mean men, human beings. Human beings are mortals. We are subjected to death. We don't live forever and ever. The life of human beings in this world is always troubled by lot of things, by lot of sufferings. And brief. Brief means very short, limited, and combined with pain. For there is not any means by which those that have been born can avoid dying. So, a human being born into this world will one day have to die. There is no means by which a person can avoid death. He cannot escape death. No human beings can escape or avoid death. After reaching old age, there is death. Of such a nature are living beings. That is human beings' nature. That is the nature of human beings, to die after reaching a point of time. As ripe fruits are early in danger of falling, so mortals when born are always in danger of death. So now the Buddha brings out a comparison between fruits and mortals. A fruit that comes on a tree, when it gets ripe, will fall any time. Likewise is human beings. A human being born on earth are always in danger of death. Death could grasp him any time. As all earthen vessels made by the potter end in being broken, so is the life of mortals. The Buddha brings in a second comparison. He compares human beings to earthen vessels, to pots made of clay. Earthen vessels or pots made of clay will be broken at some point of time. Likewise is the life of mortals. Death will happen for sure. Both young and adult, both those who are fools and those who are wise, all fall into the power of death. So, human beings can die anytime. Young cannot escape death. adult cannot escape death. Both people who are wise, people who are fools, people who are rich, people who are poor, people who are smart, all fall into the power of death. All are subject to death. All are under the control of death. All are subordinate to death. Of those who are overcome by death, depart from life, a father cannot save his son, nor kinsmen their relations. So, Buddha says, when someone is overcome by death, when death captures someone, when someone departs from life, a father cannot save his son. No one can save a person from death, nor kinsmen their relation. Kinsmen mean relative. Kins mean relatives. No relatives can save a person who is captured by death. Mark. While relatives are looking on and lamenting deeply, one by one mortals are carried off like an ox that is led to the slaughter. Mark. Mark meaning notice well. That is an old English word. The Buddha says, notice while relatives are looking on and lamenting deeply. When relatives are crying for their dead ones, one by one mortals are carried off like an ox that is led to the slaughter. Here, the Buddha is bringing out another comparison. He is comparing human beings to an ox that is being led to the slaughter, that is being led to be killed, that is taken to be killed. An ox that is taken to be killed does not have any power to fight back. That is how the life of human beings are. When death captures someone, that person will not have the power to fight back and to live on. So the world is afflicted with death and decay. So this world is like that. It is afflicted. Afflicted means affected with death and decay. It's not just that only human beings die. If you look around, all living things, be it animals, be it plants, be it birds, everything die and everything decay. So, therefore, the wise do not grieve, knowing the terms of the world. So, a wise person, a person who has understood the terms of the world, understood what this world is all about, will not keep grieving, keep crying for their dead one again and again, because this world is like that. Death is there. That should be accepted. So we're coming to the last paragraph. Not from weeping nor from grieving will anyone obtain peace of mind. So when someone dies, someone very dear to a person dies, that person may cry and weep. But weeping and crying for a long time will not give peace of mind to that person. On the contrary, on the opposite, his pain will be the greater and his body will start to suffer. So when a person who is not able to accept the death of his dear one, a person who keeps weeping, who keeps lamenting, who keeps being sorrowful or keeps grieving for a long time, will not obtain peace of mind. Instead, what will happen? His pain will keep increasing ever and ever, and his body will slowly start to suffer. He will make himself sick and pale, because that person will keep crying. That person may not eat well, may not be happy, will always have a sad state of mental health. Slowly that person will become sick and pale. Yet the dead are not saved by his lamentation. Will this person's weeping, will this person's grieving, will this person's lamentation mean mourning, crying, will it bring the dead person back to life? No. He who seeks peace should draw out the arrow of lamentation and complaint and grief. So the Buddha says, he who wants peace, he who wants peace, what should that person do? Draw out the arrow of lamentation and complaint and grief. Draw out means it's a phrasal verb, meaning remove or extract the arrow of lamentation and complaint and grief. So that person should remove lamentation and the nature of complaining and grieving from his heart, asking why did it happen to me. So these kinds of complaints should be removed from heart. He who has drawn out the arrow has become composed, will obtain peace of mind. So that person who is able to pull out the grief from his heart has become composed and has obtained peace of mind. He who has overcome all sorrow will become free from sorrow and be blessed. So, to be free from sorrow, one should be able to overcome sorrow. And to overcome sorrow, one should draw out, remove the complaining or the grieving heart. And a person who has overcome all sorrow will become free from sorrow and be blessed. Otherwise, keeping on grieving, keeping on weeping will not let anyone obtain peace of mind. And at the same time, keeping on grieving will not bring the dead person back to life also. So, a person who is wise should understand that death is common. Likewise, he should be able to draw out the arrow of lamentation and complaint and grief and thus overcome all sorrow and stay blessed. So, this is the first sermon of the Buddha which he gave at Benaras.